After 7 years of Cold War, I returned to the country with my 7-year-old son to visit my parents. As soon as we got off the plane, I encountered my ex's good friend at the airport. He asked me, "7 years have passed, when do you plan to apologize to Michael for running away from the wedding?" His childhood friend Michael was my ex-boyfriend who almost married me. 7 years ago, we held our wedding at a hotel. But during the bride's entrance, he suddenly announced a pause and pulled a girl in a white dress from the audience. He affectionately announced to the guests below, "Rachel is my first love, and I promised her that I would walk the red carpet with her once. After today's wedding, I will settle down, so I want to fulfill this promise now." After saying that, he looked at the MC and signaled to continue. The guests below were in an uproar, all waiting to see me, the bride-to-be, become a joke. After a moment of silence, I grabbed the hem of my wedding dress and left the scene. He didn't chase after me, and I didn't wait. Now, 7 years have passed, and my child is 7 years old. My ex-boyfriend's good friend is still persuading me to kowtow and apologize to rekindle the old flame. I laughed upon hearing this and pulled my son from behind me to face him. "Baby, say hello to Uncle and tell him what your dad's name is." Daniel looked at the boy in front of him in disbelief. "Elaine, you actually ran away pregnant and gave birth to Michael's son? Although the method is a bit despicable, it's not in vain that Michael waited for you for 7 years. I knew he misunderstood and corrected him, this child is not Michael's. I got married 7 years ago, he is my son with my current husband." Daniel was stunned, as if he had heard something absurd. "You actually dared to marry behind Michael's back? Do you know he searched for you like crazy?" I nodded calmly, "Yes, I got married 7 years ago." After saying that, the taxi I called arrived, and I walked around him to leave. But he grabbed my suitcase tightly and wouldn't let go. "Elaine, explain clearly, what do you mean you got married 7 years ago? How old is this child? Is he Michael's?" Daniel's excited voice was like a thunderclap, attracting curious glances from passers-by around. But he seemed unaware, his eyes bulging like bells, scanning my son's face inch by inch. While speaking, he nodded affirmatively. "This child looks just like Michael's offspring, with big eyes, double eyelids, and dimples." "Elaine, you're really bold to run away pregnant. No wonder you had a Cold War with Michael for 7 years. It was to let this child grow up so you could use him to make the Gu family accept you. Elaine, you're quite scheming." I frowned. I really couldn't see any resemblance between my son and Michael. After all, his father is from Hong Kong, of Chinese-French mixed heritage, even the ethnicity is different. Before I could explain, Daniel continued, "Although Michael has never given up looking for you these years, even neglecting Rachel for you, as his good brother, I still have to warn you, don't think that having Michael's child means you can push your luck. 7 years ago, you ran away from the wedding over such a trivial matter, making the Gu family lose face. If it weren't for Michael willing to endure family punishment to make his parents forgive you, you would have been out of the picture long ago. It's still early now, hurry and come with me to the store to buy some fine cigarettes, alcohol, gifts, and such. When you go back to the Gu family to apologize later, it'll be easier for me to help you." "Wait." I couldn't listen anymore and interrupted him. "Who said I'm going back to the Gu family? Let me remind you again, I'm married, and the child is my husband's. His name is Adrian." "Elaine." I don't know if the words husband stimulated him, but Daniel suddenly gripped my hand tightly, with such force as if he wanted to crush my bones. "You're already 30 years old, can't you stop being so childish? Do you still think you're a young girl? Yes, you're pretty and have some talent, but what kind of family is the Chi family? You, a woman who casually runs away from a wedding without upbringing, still want to climb up to the Chi family? Have you gone crazy after staying abroad for 7 years? The Chi family is the most famous shipping family in Hong Kong. Due to national needs, they have gradually established industries in Beijing in recent years, with great momentum that even the Gu family dares not provoke. Not to mention, I'm just a gold digger who was publicly humiliated by Michael." Seeing me somewhat dazed, he suddenly softened his tone and earnestly advised me, I know Michael did something wrong 7 years ago, but as a grown man, waiting for you for 7 years, isn't that enough? Yes, he didn't apologize to you or chase after you, but even if he likes Rachel these years, he hasn't married her after all, right? Elaine, one can't be too ungrateful. Daniel sighed and took out a business card from his pocket to hand to me. This is Michael's contact information. He has now inherited the Gu family business and is one of the top entrepreneurs in Beijing, handsome, young, and wealthy. So many women in Beijing dream of marrying him. Seize the opportunity. At this point, he seemed convinced that I would ecstatically grab Michael's business card and eagerly call him, telling him I knew I was wrong, begging for his forgiveness, and that our family of 3 would reunite happily. But in reality, after taking the business card, I just glanced at it and tore it into pieces without mercy. It's too late. 7 years ago, at my wedding with Michael. My mom was overjoyed and so excited that she couldn't sleep from the night before last. My dad didn't say much on the surface, but on the day I got married, he secretly wiped away tears behind my back. There were also my grandparents on both sides. They were old but still made a special trip from the countryside, afraid of missing their precious granddaughter's wedding. I thought that day would be the happiest in my life. But during the bride's entrance, Michael suddenly announced a pause. Then he pulled up a girl also wearing a white dress from the audience and confessed affectionately in front of all the guests, "Rachel is my first love. I promised her that in this lifetime, I must walk the red carpet with her once. After today, I will become someone else's husband. This is my last chance. Elaine, you'll agree to this, right?" I clutched the bouquet, bewildered and at a loss as I scanned the entire venue, feeling as if my heart had been ripped out alive. "Why?" I asked him. "Why humiliate me like this at our wedding?" Michael smiled and pointed to my parents, grandparents sitting below. "Nothing much, just seeing that your relatives like to freeload, so I suppose as long as I'm willing to marry you, adding another bride to the wedding shouldn't matter, right?" The audience was in an uproar, everyone pointing at my parents and them. My grandfather was a rural teacher, a model of integrity all his life, and he had a heart attack on the spot from anger. My grandmother, thin-skinned, blushed and tried to explain, but was pelted with vegetable leaves by Michael's relatives. Looking at the wedding dress symbolizing love on my body, after a moment of silence, I grabbed the hem, took my family, and left the hotel without looking back. From the wedding day to my decision to go abroad, it was exactly 7 days. Michael didn't even come to apologize. Instead, his first love Rachel came to see me once with Michael's mother. In the hotel cafe, they walked arm in arm like mother and daughter, but upon seeing me, they simultaneously restrained their smiles. Rachel spoke unhurriedly, "Sister Elaine, I'm really sorry about the wedding. I didn't expect that after breaking up for so long, Michael still remembered our promise. Sorry for embarrassing you." Margaret playfully patted her hand. "What apology? That's what Michael should do. After all, you two are childhood sweethearts, latecomers naturally can't compare." After speaking, she elegantly smiled at me. "Elaine, I'm not talking about you, don't take it to heart." I took a sip of coffee, the bitter taste filling my mouth. Margaret took out a card from her bag. "There's 3 million here, take it and leave Beijing with your family." I stared at the card and asked dazedly, "Is this his intention?" "What else?" Margaret smiled. "You ran away from the wedding, what more do you want from my son? Do you know who Rachel is? Her father is a senior partner of our Gu family. As for you." She paused for 2 seconds and sighed softly. "You, a country bumpkin from the village, have finally glimpsed a corner of heaven. That's enough for a lifetime. Don't you think?" I said nothing, took the card, and donated it to the rural primary school in my hometown. Then I turned and went abroad, for 7 years. Now, my son is 7 years old. Elaine! Did you even listen to what I said? Daniel's hysterical voice pulled me back from my thoughts. He looked at me with an incurable expression, his face indignant. "Michael is now successful in his career and still can't forget you. If you don't seize the opportunity to apologize to him now, you really won't have a chance to reunite later. Weren't you the most scheming before? How come you can't even calculate this now? Looking at his indignant appearance, I just felt exhausted. I raised my voice and notified him one last time. I, Elaine, am already married. My husband loves me very much, my child is very cute, I'm living well, I don't need anyone's forgiveness, please don't bother me anymore. After saying this, I quickly held my son's hand tightly and pulled him toward the taxi. Daniel behind me wanted to chase, but only saw the taxi's exhaust. Without time to think, he took out his phone, clicked on Michael's avatar, and urgently said, "Michael, I saw Elaine, she's back in the country." The man on the other side of the screen was stunned, suddenly stood up, and rushed out hurriedly, almost hitting the glass door. Arriving at the booked hotel, I settled the luggage and took my son to the restaurant to eat. Just as we went downstairs, a resounding exclamation came from the entrance through the lobby. "Michael! It's her! Elaine is coming down!" I looked up. Daniel was standing in the lobby with a handsome man. He was tall, wearing a custom-tailored suit, with somewhat disheveled hair on his forehead. It was obvious he had rushed from outside. My ex-boyfriend, Michael, who almost married me. He stood not far away, his eyes fixed on the boy I was holding, his Adam's apple bobbing. "Elaine, is he my son?" I was stunned, memories flashing through my mind in an instant. Like most Cinderella and tycoon romances, Michael and I met by chance and fell in love at first sight. He was a pampered second-generation rich kid, tipping thousands casually. I was a hard-working student who barely escaped a small town, working part-time at a small restaurant near school to support myself. Due to an accident, we met and fell in love for a full 5 years. For him, I quit my part-time job, studied desperately every day, and after graduation, entered the Gu family's company as the most talented designer in Beijing. For me, he rebelled against his family, gave up his favorite archaeology major, accepted the family business, protected me from being seen as a scheming gold digger despised by everyone, and turned me into his legitimate fiancé standing openly by his side. We both poured everything into this relationship. Until Rachel returned to the country. She was too perfect, beautiful, elegant, and Michael's childhood sweetheart and first love. At first, I didn't care about her. After all, trust is the most important between lovers, and Michael loved me so much, we were about to get married. But reality was that Michael's overtime became later and later. He canceled dates more and more frequently. Even when I went to the company because I couldn't decide on the invitation style, I got the secretary's cold notification, "Michael is in a meeting, no one is allowed to disturb." But the next second, Rachel swayed past me gracefully and pushed open the office door with familiarity. That day, for the first time, I lost control in front of Michael, hysterically questioning what his relationship with Rachel really was. He didn't answer, just threw out a stack of screenshots of me booking first-class tickets and 5-star hotels for my family, staring at me disappointedly. "Elaine, do you remember you used to be reluctant to buy even a 2,000 yuan shirt? They said you were after my money, and I didn't believe it, turns out it's true." I was stunned and explained to him that I can earn money now, I just wanted my family to live better. They are old, and long journeys are hard for them. To prove it, I even pulled up my salary records, telling him it was all spent with my money. But Michael just hummed and then told me to leave. After that, our relationship became stiff. I tried many ways to resolve it, such as no longer using the black card he gave me for the wedding and organizing every expense invoice to give to his assistant. Even 3 days before the wedding, to save money, I gave up the initially chosen crystal-embellished wedding dress and selected a simple, elegant satin gown that was half the price. On the dress-fitting day, both Daniel and Rachel came. I changed into the wedding dress and came out of the fitting room, just in time to hear her say to Michael, "You should still sign a prenuptial agreement. In our class, it's easiest to encounter gold diggers." At that time I was young and impetuous, unable to endure such humiliation, so I interrupted them on the spot and questioned Michael, "If you don't trust me, then let's not get married." Michael panicked, fumbling to explain that he didn't mean that and had never thought of signing any divorce agreement with me. The wedding would proceed as usual. I thought he finally believed me. Until at the wedding scene, he pulled Rachel from the audience and arrogantly said our family was freeloading. Only then did I know he never believed me. And now, Michael stared at me without blinking, cautiously wanting only one answer. Elaine, tell me, is he my child? I stepped back half a step, hiding my son behind me. No. He is my husband's child. I don't know which word stimulated him, but Michael's eyes turned red instantly. He gritted his teeth, veins bulging on his forehead. Elaine, even if you're lying, make it plausible. We had a Cold War for 7 years, and he's exactly 7. Don't tell me right after running away from me, you had him with some wild man. I frowned. What does he mean by wild man? I broke up with him, had a normal relationship, got married normally, and had a child. How did it become a wild man in his mouth? Taking a deep breath, just as I was about to answer, I was suddenly pushed from behind. My palm scraped the floor, bleeding painfully. Mom, what are you doing? Michael was stunned and quickly tried to help me up with concern, but I avoided him, leaving him dazed in place for a moment. Margaret tightly grabbed my son's hand, her voice shrill. What can I do? Isn't it to snatch back my grandson? Let me tell you, I've seen too many gold diggers like her when I was young. Stubbornly refusing to go back with you isn't just playing hard to get. She took my money and abducted my grandson. Not calling the police is already giving her face. She turned to signal the bodyguards. What are you waiting for? Hurry and take my precious grandson away. The bodyguards immediately obeyed, grabbing my son and dragging him out. I was furious, got up to snatch back my son, but was held tightly by Michael. Give me back my son. How many times do I have to say it? He is not Michael's child. My son also cried heartbreakingly, shouting while crying, I don't want to go with you, I want my mom and dad. Mom, save me. While forcibly holding my hands, Michael softened his tone to coax him, son, don't cry, it's Mom who doesn't understand and taught you wrong. Dad will take you home. My son struggled even harder, one shoe fell off, barefoot on the ground, desperately struggling. You're not my dad's name is Adrian, he'll be here soon, and then he definitely won't let you go. Michael's face darkened instantly, turning to the bodyguards. The child doesn't understand, even daring to claim someone like Adrian's identity. Who knows what trouble he'll cause in the future? Don't hold back, teach him properly. Margaret nodded in agreement. Indeed, he looks like he lacks discipline, he must be taught well. It's also thanks to that Chen family kid discovering quickly, otherwise, who knows when my grandson could return to his roots. After saying that, she directly ordered the bodyguards, tie his hands, gag his mouth, and after sending him home, lock him directly in the dark room. Release him only when he's learned to behave. I'd like to see who dares. A voice filled with anger suddenly rang out. I looked up. Several black Bentleys had stopped at the hotel entrance at some point, and the tall man with a bandit-like aura, surrounded as he got out of the car. It was none other than my husband Adrian. As Adrian got out of the car, the crowd that was still tugging suddenly quieted down. Whether due to his imposing presence, no one dared to speak anymore. They all just watched quietly, guessing the purpose of this big shot's arrival. Only my son, seeing someone he could rely on, immediately got excited. With red eyes, he shouted aggrievedly, Dad, it's them bullying me and Mom. Adrian's eyes darkened, just about to speak, when Michael stepped in front of the son first, his eyes fixed on the man in front of him, wishing to devour him. You're the wild man who seduced my wife and child? He's my son. If you're smart, get lost now, or on behalf of the Gu family, I definitely won't let you go. Margaret also put on a cold, superior face. Elaine, you really dare to bring your adulterer back? Michael, what are you waiting for? Hurry and drive him out for me. As soon as the words fell, a contemptuous sneer rang out. My husband Adrian walked to my side, intimately putting his arm around my shoulders, then unhurriedly said, First time seeing someone so eager to be a stepdad. Baby, is it because you're too beautiful? I lightly hammered him, signaling him not to joke in such a place. But my action appeared as flirting in Michael's eyes. Michael immediately became alert. Who are you? Does an outsider like you get to speak here? Adrian scoffed, not yielding at all, his aura even stronger. I am her legal husband Adrian, and also this child's biological father. The words legal husband and biological father deeply stung Michael. He tensed up like a bristling beast, momentarily ignoring the name Adrian, but Daniel and Margaret did not. Daniel's face suddenly paled, stammering, "You're Adrian, the shipping tycoon from Hong Kong?" His legs went weak, almost falling to the ground. Margaret stared at me in disbelief. "You actually climbed up to the Chi family, Elaine, you. Michael then came to his senses, feeling some fear in his heart, but unwilling to believe the facts before him. He stared fixedly at Adrian's expensive attire, trying to find some flaw. But in the end, it was fruitless. Finally, he could only roar in shame and anger. "What are you pretending here now? If you're smart, give back my son. Otherwise, the Gu family will never let you go." Adrian sneered, "Is that so? Then how do you plan not to let me go? Are you tired of living and want a beating?" Seeing Adrian not giving him any face, Michael was so angry his face turned ashen. He didn't want to be looked down upon in such a place, so he swung his fist at Adrian. But Adrian was taller, exercised year-round, and more agile. Except for not defending against Michael's first sneak attack, he quickly gained the upper hand. Soon, Michael took a punch to the face, and then Adrian punched him one after another, quickly leaving Michael's face bruised and swollen. Nearby, Margaret saw Michael being beaten and immediately became anxious. She turned to snatch my son but was firmly held down by Adrian's bodyguards after just a few steps. "Elaine! You bitch! Give back my grandson. If something happens to Michael, the Gu family definitely won't let you go." I held the child with both arms, my gaze cold. I was no longer the girl she could boss around before. Seeing I didn't obey, Margaret glanced at Daniel nearby. "What are you waiting for? Hurry and help Michael. As long as you help, the Gu family agrees to that cooperation with the Chin family." My son noticed the danger, his little face wrinkled, crying loudly, "Dad! Dad! There are bad people here, come quickly." I also vigilantly stepped back half a step. The bodyguards directly surrounded, ready to suppress at any time. Under everyone's gaze, Daniel smiled bitterly twice, spread his hands. "Auntie, it's not that I don't want to help, but that's the Chi family. The Chin family just wants cooperation, not self-destruction." After saying that, he took a deep breath, seized the opportunity, and ran out of the hotel. "Daniel! Daniel!" Margaret shouted crazily at his back. Michael was also distracted, looking incredulously at the man's departing figure. Adrian finally vented enough, grabbed Michael, and threw him to the ground. "This is just a small lesson. In the future, stay as far away from my wife and child as possible." Seeing the situation turning bad and Michael bruised, Margaret bit a bodyguard and angrily called the police. "You dare to hit people and snatch my grandson. Wait, the Gu family definitely won't let you off so easily." After years of being pampered, she had never suffered such great humiliation. Michael showed a smug expression on his face. As a well-known entrepreneur in the city, he contributed a lot of taxes to the local economy. If the child was really his and he was unilaterally beaten by Adrian, he was confident he could make us pay the price. Michael stared at me. "Elaine, apologize to me now, otherwise, when I get back the child's custody, this child will have nothing to do with you anymore." Looking at such a confident Michael, I just sneered in response. After a while, someone arrived at the scene, but it wasn't the police, it was the hotel's manager. Before the manager approached, he exclaimed, "Oh my God, who did this?" Michael immediately pointed to Adrian. "It's him who beat me. Get your security to come and drive this person out." As soon as the words fell, he received the manager's angry glare. Before he could react, he saw the manager being deferential to Adrian. "Adrian, is this the troublemaker?" Michael and his group didn't know that the mall they were in was also Adrian's property, making their arrogant behavior here especially ridiculous. Adrian said calmly, "Not exactly causing trouble, but this person insists my son is his and wants to snatch away me and Elaine's son." Michael immediately shouted, "You're talking nonsense. This is clearly my and Elaine's biological son. The manager got angry on the spot and scolded, "You're the one talking nonsense. Everyone in our entire company knows this is Adrian and his wife's child. Adrian has always been kind to employees. Our wedding and the child's 100-day banquet invited all company staff. From our marriage to childbirth, he personally witnessed our wedding, the good news, even the mother and child safe on Facebook." So Michael's claim that Adrian snatched his son seemed utterly absurd to the manager. Adrian merely used a glance, and the manager immediately understood his meaning. He scolded the group of security nearby, "What are you waiting for? Drive out this group of troublemakers." With that, the security surged forward and dragged the three out. Where had Michael and Margaret ever suffered such humiliation? While being dragged away, they still threatened not to let us go. Until their voices completely disappeared, the manager wiped his sweat and said deferentially, "Sorry, Adrian, this incident is my dereliction of duty. I will pay special attention to their every move and absolutely not let this group enter the Chi family's properties again." I nodded with Adrian, not pursuing further. But I didn't expect that after Michael knew he couldn't snatch from Adrian, he chose to use public power. I thought with that day's incident, Michael would quiet down and no longer disturb me and my child, but unexpectedly, just a week later, a storm suddenly erupted online. Michael went live on stream. In the broadcast, he wept and wailed, screaming at the top of his lungs to accuse me and Adrian. His acting was so convincing it drew viewers' sympathy, claiming we had stolen his child. In his narrative, he and I were truly in love, but a misunderstanding forced us apart for 7 years. Unexpectedly, Adrian took advantage of the situation, deliberately seduced me, and relied on his family background to occupy me and his child. Gossip about the rich and powerful's family affairs has always been popular after dinner talk. This matter involving Adrian on one side and Michael on the other ignited public opinion almost instantly, boiling over. The Chi Group's stock price was also implicated, showing a small but noticeable decline. Michael found me with a smug smile, his tone full of vengeful pleasure. "Elaine, see, everyone still blesses us too, do you regret it? It's still not too late to turn back and be with me now." I found his unrestrained grin utterly hilarious. Regret? Why should I regret anything? My son is bright and adorable, my husband Adrian is steady and dependable, treating me like a precious jewel, and my own career is thriving. The only thing I should regret is ever knowing Michael. If not for his unfounded entanglement, my life should have been peaceful and harmonious. To end this farce as soon as possible and return to peace, I looked at him and, for the first and last time since our reunion, said with a tone of advice, "Michael, let's stop here. Don't make yourself a complete joke in the end." I kindly advised him, but he took the advice as my weakness. The smile on Michael's face deepened, his gaze burning as he stared at me, half coaxing and half threatening. "Elaine, I am the one who loves you the most. As long as you divorce him now, I'll let bygones be bygones. I'll make you and your son the happiest family, otherwise, I have plenty of ways to make sure you never see your son again in this lifetime." Unaffected by his threat, my face instantly turned cold. However, before I could retort, another sharp voice interjected, "Sister Elaine, stop being temperamental. Brother Michael almost lost his life searching for you these years. How can you be so heartless?" The speaker was none other than Rachel, who grew up as Michael's childhood sweetheart. At this moment, she was tearful, looking pitiful, calling Brother Michael repeatedly, as if I was the unforgivable, heartless woman who hurt Michael. "Even if you're with Adrian now, can you just throw away the affection with Brother Michael over so many years like garbage? Or are you still angry at me, blaming me for walking the red carpet at your wedding back then, so you deliberately refused to forgive Brother Michael?" Her words seemed soft, but every sentence was defending Michael. Michael stood aside, his face ashen, obviously further incited by Rachel's words. He stared fixedly at me, questioning, "Elaine, I've explained to you many times, I had my reasons. Besides, the one who ran away from the wedding back then was you, not me. Even now, don't you think it was your fault?" Looking at this absurd scene before me, hearing this inverted questioning, I finally couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. "Michael, the one who should bow and admit wrong has never been me. With that, I resolutely turned around, completely leaving behind those two faces full of calculation and accusation. Due to Michael's tricks, in these days, the Chi Group's stock price has experienced some fluctuations, but Adrian has been in the business world for many years with a solid foundation. This bit of public opinion storm is not enough to shake the roots or cause an irreparable situation. However, watching him handle this matter with constant phone calls all day, my heart couldn't help but feel a pang of distress. During this time, not only did the media cling to Adrian like sharks smelling blood, but even my son encountered several suspicious tailing incidents. Nowadays, people resort to any means for news. I was anxious all day. Fortunately, although Michael is a scoundrel, he wouldn't let the child he mistakenly thinks is his own flesh and blood fall into real danger. However, he frequently found excuses to approach his son, even repeatedly showing intentions to secretly take the child back to the GU residence. In any case, Michael's actions have genuinely disrupted our peaceful life. Looking at the faint dark circles under Adrian's eyes, I finally made up my mind and said, "Adrian, let's take the baby for a paternity test. This way, we can completely cut off the GU family's delusions and prevent them from entangling further." Actually, a paternity test is indeed the best way to make Michael give up those ideas, but the reason I hesitated to suggest it was my own concerns. I was afraid that rashly doing a paternity test would bring invisible harm and psychological shadow to my young son. After all, which child can calmly accept parents questioning their own bloodline? And Adrian, which man can accept his child being questioned about bloodline? Even if doing so is to break the doubt. I struggled inwardly, not knowing if this would make Adrian sad. After all, he never doubted me. Who knew he would gently hold my hand and say, "Okay, as long as it can make you and the baby feel at ease, I'm willing to do anything." His clear and firm voice was like a warm current, instantly dispelling the gloom and hesitation in my heart. My eyes heated up, and I couldn't help but throw myself into his arms. He reached out, gently rubbed my hair, and softly comforted me. The paternity report came out very quickly under Adrian and Michael's operations. That day, all people related to this matter went to the court to wait for the results. And when the paternity test results were read out by the staff, the large courtroom live stream was instantly flooded with comments. Michael suddenly stood up from the defendant's seat, his handsome face twisted in extreme shock and disbelief. He stared fixedly at the screen, his voice hoarse and utterly desperate. "Impossible, absolutely impossible, you must have made a mistake. How could Adrian possibly be the baby's biological father? Someone must have tampered with it." He seemed mad, with bloodshot eyes, roaring at the court, "I demand a retest, immediately, right now. This result is wrong." My heart tightened suddenly, looking at my son's innocent yet slightly uneasy little face on the appraisal seat. I absolutely couldn't agree to let him suffer again. I refused without hesitation. "No. Paternity tests aren't something you can do whenever you want. It's not like buying vegetables on the street." My voice wasn't loud, but exceptionally firm, and everyone present quieted down. Adrian, standing by my side at this moment, was like a solid fortress, exceptionally reassuring. Upon hearing this, he curled his lips into a cold and mocking arc, looking at Michael. "Mr. Michael, no matter how unwilling you are to accept the facts, this child is indeed my, Adrian's, and Elaine's biological son. This is irrefutable." "No, I won't believe your nonsense." Michael had obviously lost his reason. He suddenly pushed away the barrier in front, trying to rush to the appraisal seat, aiming straight at that small figure, shouting madly, "Retest, I must see a retest with my own eyes." However, after just 2 steps, his arm was suddenly grabbed by an irresistible force. Adrian held his hand and said, "Mr. Michael, you're so frantic, insisting this child is yours. Could it be that you have some hidden illness and can't have children in this lifetime? You." Michael was so angry he almost went mad. And at this time, Margaret, Michael's mother, who had been silent nearby, suddenly spoke. She tightly clutched her son's arm, her voice trembling with excitement. "Michael, stop it, don't make a scene anymore." Looking at her son who seemed crazy before her, she felt heartbroken beyond measure, but deep in her heart, she probably thought I would never be worthy of her son, so she absolutely wouldn't allow her son to sink further. "Mom, let me go." Michael tried to break free. "Don't you want your own grandson?" Margaret took a deep breath, as if making a great determination. She looked around, especially at Adrian and me, finally fixing her gaze on her son's face, and said gravely, "Michael, wake up. 7 years ago, this woman took my 3 million and left you. A fickle woman like her wouldn't give birth to your child." In an instant, inside and outside the courtroom, there was dead silence. The livestream comments seemed to pause for a fraction of a second. Everyone was stunned by this sudden truth. Michael's body suddenly stiffened, turning into a statue. He turned his head extremely slowly, looking incredulously at his own mother, ignoring Margaret's slander against me, and asked, "Mom? What did you say? It was you who gave her money and forced her to leave me?" Margaret dared not meet her son's empty gaze. She averted her eyes, her tone urgent yet stubbornly unquestionable. "Michael, I did it for your own good. She was just an ordinary girl with nothing back then, who would only drag down your future. Rachel comes from a prestigious family, a match in status who can help you reach higher. Our Gu family only recognizes a daughter-in-law like Rachel." "For my own good?" Michael murmured, repeating these 3 words, the last trace of color drained from his face, pale as paper. The huge shock swept over him like waves. It turned out that my sudden and resolute breakup 7 years ago, the deep-seated resentment and unwillingness he couldn't let go of these 7 years, and the shattered hope after learning he had a child 7 years later, were all because of his own biological mother. It turned out he hated the wrong person. It turned out the betrayal he firmly believed in was a carefully planned barbaric expulsion. It turned out the father-son bond he longed to reclaim was severed from the beginning by his closest kin. How could this be? Michael couldn't believe it. In his heart, he blamed everything on Margaret. He felt if not for Margaret, I wouldn't have left, would still be by his side now, and the child would still be his. I watched his and his mother's performance, shaking my head with a bitter smile. Back then, I left him not because of Margaret's humiliation, but because of Rachel's provocation and his heartlessness, and his contempt for me and my family. Those incidents one by one, perhaps he has forgotten, but I haven't. After nearly collapsing in painful cries, he suddenly lifted his head, stepped in front of his mother, his hands like iron clamps fiercely gripping Margaret's shoulders with such force as to almost crush her bones, his voice shaking uncontrollably. "Mom. Why is it you? It was you who personally broke up me and Elaine. It was you who used money to sever my father-son bond with the child." Every word he said seemed squeezed out through gritted teeth. Margaret was shaken so hard she could barely stand, her face instantly turning deathly pale, her eyes flickering, not daring to meet her son's gaze full of pain. The air froze, leaving only Michael's heavy breathing and that silent yet deafening accusation. Margaret kept apologizing to him. The scene was too boring, so I signaled Adrian and wanted to leave first. But when Michael saw I wanted to leave, he disregarded everything, pounced in front of me, hugged my legs, and begged for forgiveness. Michael was almost sobbing uncontrollably. For the first time, this man who was always high and mighty took the initiative to lower his proud head. He knelt begging me to turn back, knelt begging me to forgive him, knelt begging me to divorce Adrian. He was willing to treat my son as his own biological son. But for his pleas, I just slowly stepped back. I told him, "Michael, between us, it ended 7 years ago. No one can wait for someone forever. I already have my new life. Please don't disturb me and my family anymore." After saying that, I turned and left. Behind me came the man's uncontrollable painful cries. I didn't stop my steps, holding my son's hand tightly. I was going to live my life. After returning, I threw everything that happened today out of my mind, until 3 months later, I saw the news of the Gu Group's bankruptcy and liquidation on financial news. At the same time, the Gu family's heir Michael went mad in front of media cameras, taking off his suit, tearing his shirt into disarray, stumbling out, muttering my name. I originally didn't care what he would do next, but Michael's mother suddenly found me. She knelt in front of me, tearfully begging me to persuade Michael, to make him change his mind and revive the family business. At that time I was leisurely leaning on my husband Adrian's shoulder, flipping through a travel magazine. Upon hearing this, I just shook my head lightly. I'm sorry, Margaret, I and your Goo family have no ties anymore, and I have no obligation to persuade your son. After saying that, I no longer looked at her, got up, and went to the kitchen to find my son to eat fruit. When I saw Margaret again, she was standing at a cold, windy street corner distributing supermarket promotion flyers, looking haggard. Her once proudly protected good daughter-in-law Rachel stood aside, not only not helping, but with a face full of impatience and harshness. Rachel even viciously shoved Margaret, who tried to approach her, spewing harsh words, "Stay away from me. Bad luck, it's all because of your Goo family." Later, I accidentally learned that Rachel was discovered to be pregnant with Michael's child before marriage. Because of this scandal, she was driven out by the Meng family, eager to distance themselves, falling from a pampered heiress to a bottom-rung person worrying about livelihood. However, none of this has anything to do with me anymore. Because next week, Adrian, our lively and cute son, and I are setting off to Northern Europe to see the aurora. We live very happily, peacefully, and warmly, and no one will disturb us anymore.